We ain't playing with this year. We are not, this is my year, okay? This is my year. I'm gonna do everything I always wanted to do, plus more. I ain't playing. Okay, hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna be talking about something that is a frequently asked question in my DMs, and that is, what kind of rebounder do you have, or how do I know which rebounder to select that's right for me? And I think it's very, very important to select or purchase a rebounder or mini trampoline that is ideal for what you want it for. So I'm gonna dive in by first talking about, I'm gonna kind of dive in by kind of breaking down some of the different features, okay? And I'm gonna start with size, okay? So when we think about the size, typically mini trampolines or rebounders range from 36 to 48 inches. And 48 inches is a pretty nice size. I personally have a 48-inch rebounder that I absolutely love. And in my opinion, it's particularly ideal for if you want to have a big surface area to kind of move around. So if you're jumping front, back, side to side, all those extra things, that's me. That's what I like to do. So that's why I personally selected a bigger rebounder. However, I also have the Jump Sport rebounder that's I think about 36 inches that I also love. Okay, sorry, I had to adjust my camera a little bit. So the next thing that we're going to kind of talk about is the weight capacity of that rebounder. So typically a small rebounder is going to be able to hold between 220 and 250 pounds, okay? Whereas a larger rebounder like the one that I have, that's 48 inches by 1.2 fit, is going to be able to hold 250 pounds or more. So I'll give an example. My husband is 6'7" and weighs a little bit over 300 pounds, and he has been able to jump on it a few times without any difficulties. Sound production. Now, personally, I would say this one has been the most important feature for me. I have gotten a few DMs with questions like, hey, if I live on the 3rd floor, will this work for me? It most definitely will work for you. I just wouldn't recommend that you're doing super advanced jumps that may disrupt your neighbors, or that you're using something with a spring, or I like to call it a coil, okay? So there's two types of materials that are used for rebounding. One is going to be a bungee and one is going to be a spring, okay? So with the spring, it's going to be a little bit more of a tighter jump versus the bungee is going to have, it kind of stretches. That gives you more of a free flowing jump, okay? With a spring, I personally, when I tried it and kind of seeing different reviews online as well, they did mention that it was a little bit challenging on the joints in the knees. However, I will say, if you're looking at something like the Cellerciser, some people may pronounce it differently, that's a really good rebounder that has springs and has a big cost to go along with it, but that's actually one of the top rebounders, okay? So it may work. With a bungee, it is silent. And let me tell you how silent it is. When I started rebounding when I was still pregnant, but really more so after I had my son. And there'd be times where I wanted to get up early in the morning at like 5 a.m. and rebound without waking him up. No problem with the rebounder that I have that has the bungees. I mean, completely silent. Like I said, it's very free flowing. The only issue sometimes that I've found is that with the bungee, you do have to sometimes change those because they stretch out so much, or you have to tighten them to help give you kind of a firmer jump. The same can be said with a spring. You have to oil those as well. Okay, so this is another huge one. This is a big one. Handlebars. Okay, let me first say, I feel like anyone who is first trying rebounding, you should get a rebounder that has handlebars. There are two shapes that I've kind of seen, and I like to refer them as either like a T shape, or you see one that looks like kind of like a U shape, okay? That is a very important factor to look at. And I'm gonna go back a little bit. So the reason why I always recommend starting with a rebounder that has a handle, because you don't know how you're going to feel when you're first starting with rebounding, okay? Sometimes that tends to feel like you need to have that kind of safeguard there while you're jumping. And I'm sorry if you guys are hearing a little bit of background noise. My husband is cooking in the kitchen. But you're gonna need that for support at first. I know I did. It took me about maybe 2 or 3 months before I really felt comfortable letting go of that handlebar. And then now I completely was able to take it off and not use it. So you wanna make sure that whatever rebounder you have, it has a handlebar that is removable. That is very, very important, okay? So like I said, you wanna have that there for that option. And like right now, I'm starting to experiment more with stability movements. So I'm gonna be actually bringing that handlebar back in, so I'm able to hold that as I'm doing these more core stability movements. The next thing that we're going to talk about, or the next feature that I'm going to mention, is if that rebounder is foldable, okay? This is one mistake that I personally made. I did not kind of think about, this should be able to fold. First of all, in case I want to go work out with a friend, I can just fold my rebounder and take it there. Or even, for example, I have a garage gym, and sometimes I have to get creative in how I'm storing my rebounder. The next mini trampoline that I purchase, I'm definitely going to make sure that it has that feature. So you want to make sure that you have something that is foldable. So it's either can be folded. There's some rebounders that fold just in half, and some that fold into 4. What is that called? Tri-fold? Babe, what is that called? When your rebounder can fold in 4? A tri? Huh? Oh, okay. A what? Quad? Oh, I thought it was a tri-fold. Anyway, okay. But yes, you want that to be able to fold up. And like I say, sometimes like on a really nice day, I like to go rebound in the park, you know, put my headphones in and go rebound there. So that is something that I would definitely suggest. It isn't necessary though, because to be honest with you, I have a few different rebounders. Some are small, so I just put it in my car if I need to go somewhere. And I like that idea of, you know, this rebounder is for home, and then this rebounder is for traveling, if that makes sense, okay? The next thing we're gonna dive into are the legs, okay? This is another mistake that I first made when I was purchasing my rebounder. I was like, why does that even matter? The legs of your rebounder is extremely important. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of dive in, and I'll actually show a video of the different legs. So for example, on a rebounder, the rebounder that I have by 1-2 Fit, they have legs that screw on, okay? The con of that is you have to essentially tighten those legs sometimes every time before you jump. And even for me, because I'm such an advanced jumper, and I jump with such force, sometimes in the middle of a song or a routine, I have to stop and adjust or tighten the legs, okay? Whereas the legs of the jump sports, they essentially are kind of permanently attached, and you need a little bit of like a little tool to tighten it. I love that. That's definitely something that I'm going to look for in the future when I'm purchasing a more advanced rebounder for myself. But you want to look at that. You want to look at how are those legs attached to that rebounder? Is it screwed on, or is it permanently fixed? That's going to be a very, very important thing to also look at. Some cool things about the rebounders that I've seen is some of those, they count how many jumps you do. They have different features where you can add on, like if you want to do, I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's almost like an elastic, but they have these different little things that they add on that either comes with your rebounder or mini trampoline, or that you can purchase. And the beauty of that is, apart from the jump counter, those little, how can I say, those little additions, they can kind of be added on to any rebounder. And I'm going to see if I can find some pictures of examples of kind of like some additions that you can do. With all that being said, I wanted to kind of try to touch in there the top rebounders that I've personally seen. Keep in mind, everybody's opinion of this is going to kind of vary. I would definitely say, for me, what I've seen, the top rebounder is the Celicizer, that has a very high price point. However, I wouldn't say don't go ahead and invest in it. Later on, I may go ahead and invest in that style of rebounding. It just kind of depends. I definitely wouldn't say do not allow a price point to impact something that's for the betterment of your health. Okay, I've had to kind of break out of that as well. Like I'll be the first to admit that I used to pay around $150 a month to go to Orange Theory Fitness for almost 3 years. Orange Theory Fitness for almost 3 years. So please don't allow that to be a factor. The second rebounder that seems to be really, really good is the Bellicon. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I'm going to go ahead and link that. Those are pretty nice as well. Those have the bungees. The third rebounder, the top three that I've seen is the Jump Sport. And I personally also have a Jump Sport. And I'm not going to lie, I do vibe with that. That's a really, really good one. And I have to add in the rebounder by 1-2 Fit. I will say there could be a little bit of tweaking that's done, but it's a really reasonable rebounder that I've had for almost 3 years that I purchased off Amazon. I'll also link that in the description as well. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, comment. You can also find me on Instagram at Nali Jolie. I love answering questions about rebounding. I love to see the community is growing, and I love to see the benefits that people are having from jumping on a rebounder or a mini trampoline. It kind of reminds you of a kid. But in the meantime, I'm sending you guys an abundance of love, positivity, and all that good stuff. Till next time.